Zara was an alien mother from the distant planet of Veralia. Her skin was a soft shade of blue, and her eyes shone like stars in the dark sky. But no matter how beautiful she looked, her heart was heavy with worry. The land of Veralia was dying. Endless wars and famine had spread across her world. Food was scarce. Safe places were gone. And her little child Lian was very weak. Every day, Zara searched for something to eat for Lian. She walked for miles through ruined cities and empty fields, but nothing was left. The hunger inside her child's belly was growing. It was a pain that no mother could bear. Zara knew she had to do something big and scary. One cold evening, as the twin moons rose high, Zara stood in a dark market on the edge of the city. The market was not like any she had seen before. It was a place where people sold all kinds of things: food, tools, memories, and even living beings. Zara's heart pounded with fear and shame as she made the hardest decision of her life. She would sell herself, not because she wanted to, but because she had no choice. If she sold herself for a large sum of credits, she could buy enough food to save Lian's life. She wrapped her blue cloak tightly around her and stepped onto the cold metal floor. Her hands trembled as she raised a small sign that said, "Willing to be bought." A mother's sacrifice for her child. Around her, people whispered and stared. Some were cruel, others curious. Zara kept her head down, trying to hide the tears that fell silently. She was no longer a proud woman of Veralia, she was a desperate mother. Suddenly, a man stepped forward. He looked different from everyone else. Tall, with soft eyes and a calm smile. His name was David. He was a human from another planet, Earth. David had come to this market out of curiosity, but had never expected to find someone like Zara. David looked at her not as a thing to be bought, but as a person in pain. He saw the love in her eyes, the courage behind her fear. In that moment, he made a choice. He would buy Zara, not to own her, but to protect her. Zara's heart skipped a beat. Could this stranger be different? Could he be the hope she needed? David quietly spoke to the market seller and paid the price. Then, without a word, he took Zara's hand and led her away from the noisy crowd. Zara felt a mix of relief and fear. Relief that her child would have food. Fear of the unknown future with this human. Would he keep his promise? Or was this just another trap? As they walked through the dark streets, David looked at Zara gently. "I don't want to own you," he said softly. "I want to help you, to keep you safe, and maybe to be your friend." Zara wanted to believe him, but years of pain made it hard. She wiped her tears and nodded slowly. For now she would trust him. That night, in a small safe place far from the market, Zara sat beside a warm light and thought about Lian. Tomorrow she would buy food and medicine for her child. Tomorrow she might find a new chance at life, but deep inside, she knew the road ahead would be dangerous and full of challenges. Could she really escape her past? Could a human's love change her fate? The answer was still unknown. But Zara had taken the first step, and sometimes that was all that mattered. David led Zara through narrow, quiet streets far away from the busy market. The city lights flickered above them, but David's calm presence gave Zara a small feeling of safety she hadn't felt in a long time. Still, her heart was full of doubt. How could she trust a stranger, even if he said kind words? David took her to a small, clean home. It was very different from the ruined world Zara had left behind. There was warmth inside and soft cushions to sit on. The walls were decorated with pictures of people and places she had never seen before. For the first time in many days, Zara felt a flicker of hope. David sat across from her, watching her closely. "You don't have to be afraid here," he said softly. "I will do my best to keep you safe. I know what it means to care for someone." Zara looked at him carefully. His eyes were honest and full of kindness. "Why are you helping me?" she asked quietly. I am not from your world. I am different. David smiled a little. Maybe that's why I want to help. Sometimes when we see someone who is suffering, it reminds us of what is truly important. Zara thought about her child Lian, alone and weak somewhere in the city. She had risked everything to save him. My child. He is sick. If I don't get food and medicine soon, he will not live. David's face grew serious. Then we must act fast. Tomorrow we will find what he needs. But for now, you must rest. Zara nodded, but sleep did not come easily. Her mind was full of questions and fears. Who would come looking for her? Would her past catch up? And what would happen to her if David's kindness was only a mask? Meanwhile, David prepared a simple meal. He had little experience with alien foods, but he wanted to make Zara comfortable. He placed the food gently in front of her, hoping she would eat. Zara looked at the strange food, but felt too tired to refuse. She ate slowly, trying to ignore the memories of hunger and pain. As she ate, David began to tell her stories about his life on Earth, a world very different from Veralia. He spoke of oceans, trees, and blue skies. His words painted pictures in Zara's mind, making her feel a strange mixture of sadness and wonder. After the meal, David showed Zara a small device. This can help us communicate better, he said. I want to understand you. Zara was surprised. In all her struggles, no one had tried to truly understand her. She touched the device hesitantly, then nodded. The next morning, David took Zara to a market much different from the one she had left. This place was bright and clean. People smiled and greeted each other. It was full of fresh food, fruits, and medicines. Zara's eyes filled with tears when she saw the fruit. It was the first time in weeks she had seen something so full of life. David bought the best food and medicine for Lian. He watched Zara's face closely, seeing the hope grow stronger. As they returned home, Zara felt something new, a small spark of trust. Maybe, just maybe, this human was different from all the others, but danger was never far. Unknown to Zara and David, dark figures moved silently through the city's shadows. They were the hunters, those who had once controlled Zara's fate. And who would stop at nothing to get her back? Zara did not know this yet. She only knew that for the first time, someone cared. And sometimes, that is the most powerful thing of all. Days passed since Zara arrived at David's home. The small house felt safer than anything she had known in a long time. David never treated her like a possession. Instead, he spoke kindly and listened carefully. Zara still felt scared inside. Her past was full of pain, and trusting someone was not easy. But David's quiet strength and gentle words made her heart feel lighter. Every morning, David would help Zara learn how to live in this new world. He showed her how to use simple machines, how to communicate better with the device he gave her, and how to take care of herself. In return, Zara shared stories about her home planet, Veralia. She told David about the blue skies, the glowing forests, and the strange creatures that lived there. David listened with wide eyes, amazed at the beauty of a place he would never see. Slowly, their strange friendship grew stronger. David became more than just a buyer. He was a protector and a friend. Zara began to hope that maybe, just maybe, she had found someone she could trust. But the city outside was not safe. The people who had hunted Zara before still searched for her. They wanted to take her back, no matter what. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned pink, Zara and David sat by a small fire outside the house. Lian's food and medicine were ready, but Zara's mind was heavy with worry. I am scared, she said quietly. They will find me. I do not want to lose you, or my child. David took her hand gently. We will face them together, he said firmly. You are not alone. Zara looked into David's eyes and saw something she had not seen in a long time, hope. The next day, David surprised Zara. He had found a small safe place outside the city where they could hide if the hunters came. It was a quiet cabin surrounded by tall trees and soft wind. Zara smiled faintly. For the first time in months, she felt the light of a new beginning. But friendship was not the only thing growing between them. Zara noticed small moments when David's eyes lingered a little longer, and his smile became warmer. She felt a strange, new feeling inside her, a feeling she could not name. One night, as they prepared food together, David looked at her seriously. "Zara," he said, "I know life has been hard for you. But I want you to know, you are not alone. I care about you. More than just a friend." Zara's heart beat fast. She did not know how to answer. She was afraid to hope, afraid to trust again. "I am scared too," she whispered. David smiled. Softly, "Then we will be brave together." Just then, a noise from outside startled them. Both turned quickly toward the window. Shadows moved near the trees. Someone was watching. The hunters had come closer. David stood up, placing himself between Zara and the door. "We must be ready," he said quietly. Zara nodded, feeling a mix of fear and courage. Their strange friendship was about to be tested. The world outside was full of danger. But inside, a new bond was growing, one that could change both their lives forever. The night was dark and quiet, but Zara's heart raced with fear. The hunters were close. Their footsteps echoed softly outside the cabin. Shadows flickered in the moonlight, moving closer and closer. David stood by the door, ready to protect Zara. He held a small but powerful weapon, one he had learned to use in the city's dangerous streets. His eyes never left the window. Zara felt scared, but she also felt something new inside her, strength. She knew she had to fight for her child, for her new chance at life. Suddenly, the door shook. Heavy knocks came from outside. "Zara." David whispered, "Stay behind me." The door burst open. Two tall figures stepped inside. Their faces were hidden under dark helmets, but their cold eyes glowed with hate. "We have come for her," one growled. David raised his weapon and fired. A warning shot. The hunters stopped, surprised by the human's courage. "We don't want to fight," David said firmly. "Leave now, or face the consequences." The hunters laughed. "You think you can stop us? She belongs to the council. No one escapes." Zara stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear. "I am no one's property. I am a mother. Leave us alone." The hunters hesitated, then lunged toward her. David fought bravely, but there were too many. Zara grabbed a metal rod nearby and hit one hunter's arm. The hunter screamed and fell back. Suddenly, the cabin shook as more footsteps approached. David and Zara knew they had little time. "Run!" David shouted. Zara grabbed a small bag with food and medicine for Lian. She and David ran out the back door into the dark forest. The hunters chased them, shouting orders and firing shots. Zara's lungs burned as she ran through thick bushes and twisted roots. David kept close, guiding her through the dark. After what felt like hours, they reached a small clearing. David pointed to a hidden path. "This way," he said. They ran deeper into the forest until the sounds of hunters faded. Finally, they stopped. To catch their breath, Zara looked at David with tears in her eyes. "Thank you, you saved me," David smiled gently. "I promise to protect you." Zara felt a warmth in her heart she had never known before. Maybe this human was truly different. As they rested, David pulled out a small device and called for help, friends who could offer shelter and safety. Zara watched the stars through the trees and whispered, "For Lian, I will keep fighting." David nodded, "And I will fight with you." But the danger was not over. The council's reach was long, and their enemies were many. Zara knew that the road ahead would be full of battles, but with David by her side, she felt stronger. Together they would face whatever came next. Zara and David found temporary safety in a small hidden shelter deep inside the forest. The walls were made of strong metal and glass, covered with green vines and soft moss. It was far from the noisy city, quiet and peaceful. For the first time in many days, Zara allowed herself to breathe. But her mind was still heavy with worry, for Lian, for her past, and for the uncertain future. One evening, as they sat near a small fire, Zara decided it was time to tell David everything. She needed him to understand who she really was, and why she had made the desperate choice to sell herself. David listened carefully as Zara spoke, her voice soft but strong. "My planet Veralia is dying," she began. "There was a great war. Food and water disappeared. Many lost their homes and their families. I am a mother, and my child Lian was very sick. I did not want to lose him. So I made a hard choice. I sold myself to save his life." David's eyes grew wide with sadness. "I'm sorry you had to suffer so much," Zara nodded. "The council controlled everything on Veralia. They used people like me to keep power. They hunted me because I wanted to escape." David took her hand. "I don't care about the council. I care about you." For the first time, Zara felt a deep warmth in her heart. Someone believed her. Someone cared. Together, they made a plan. Zara needed to find a way to get Lian safely from Veralia to Earth, where David promised to protect them both. But this would not be easy. The council's hunters were still searching, and Lian's condition was getting worse. David worked quickly, contacting friends in the city who owed him favors. They arranged for safe passage and secret supplies. Meanwhile, Zara used the communication device to send a hidden message to a trusted contact on Veralia, a friend who could help rescue Lian. Days passed slowly. Zara spent hours staring at the stars, praying for her child's safety. David stayed by her side, never leaving. One morning, a small signal beeped on the device. Zara's friend had replied. There was a chance to bring Lian to Earth. Hope filled Zara's heart again. She smiled weakly at David. "We can save him," she whispered. David nodded. "We will." But just as things seemed to be improving, danger returned. One night, while Zara slept, an alarm sounded in the shelter. David woke quickly and grabbed his weapon. Outside, the dark shapes of the hunters surrounded the building. They had tracked them again. David yelled to Zara, "Get ready. We must protect ourselves." Zara's heart pounded. She knew this was a test, a final challenge to see if their plan could survive. With David's help, Zara prepared defenses and weapons. The hunters would not take her without a fight. As the attackers broke through the outer walls, Zara stood beside David, ready to face whatever came next. Because now, she was not alone. She had a human who chose love over ownership, a friend who believed in her, and a hope that one day she would hold her child in her arms again. The night was alive with danger. The hunters had surrounded the shelter again, their dark shapes moving closer with weapons ready. Zara's heart hammered fiercely, but she stood strong beside David. Together, they prepared to fight for their lives. David's calm voice guided her. "Stay close. We can do this." Zara gripped a small weapon she had learned to use. Though she was not a warrior, her love for Lian gave her courage. She was ready to face anything. Suddenly, the hunters burst through the door. The air filled with the sound of shouts and blaster fire. David fired carefully, aiming to stop without hurting more than necessary. Zara ducked behind cover, then took a deep breath and aimed at one hunter who charged too close. The fight was fierce and fast. David moved with skill, protecting Zara and making sure she was safe. Zara fought with all her strength, surprising even herself. During the battle, Zara spotted a glowing device on one hunter's belt, a tracker. If they destroyed it, the hunters would lose their way and be forced to retreat. She whispered to David, "That tracker, if I can get it, maybe we can end this." David nodded. "Be careful." Zara waited for the right moment, then dashed forward, dodging blasts and leaping over debris. She grabbed the device, crushed it in her hand, and felt a small spark. Suddenly, the hunters stopped firing and looked around confused. Their communication and tracking were gone. David took this chance. They're losing control. Push them back. Together, David and Zara pushed the hunters out of the shelter. The attackers fled into the darkness, angry and defeated. Zara collapsed to the floor, breathing heavily. David helped her sit up. "You were amazing," he said, smiling. Zara smiled weakly. "I did it for Lian." David looked into her eyes. "And I'm proud of you." The shelter was quiet again, but Zara knew this battle was only one of many. The Council's power was still strong, and their enemies would not give up easily. But for now, they had won a small victory. In the days that followed, David worked to find a safe way to bring Lian to Earth. He contacted trusted friends who arranged a secret ship, ready to travel between worlds. Zara prepared herself for the hardest part, leaving her home planet to save her child. The thought of reuniting with Lian gave her hope and strength. One evening, as they looked at the stars from the shelter's small window, David said softly, "We will make it. Together." Zara nodded, her heart full of new courage. "I believe in us," she said. And in that moment, the walls of fear and pain began to crumble. A new life was waiting for them, a life of hope, love, and freedom. But the journey was not over. The stars above promised challenges, but also the chance for a new beginning. And Zara was ready to face it all. The day had finally come. Zara stood beside David at the secret launch site, hidden deep in the forest. A sleek spaceship waited quietly, ready to take them far away from danger. Toward Earth. Toward a new life. Zara held a small bundle close to her chest. It was a tiny container with life support technology, keeping her child, Lian, safe and healthy. Her heart swelled with hope and fear at the same time. David looked at her with gentle eyes. "Are you ready?" Zara nodded. "For Lian, I am ready for anything." The launch was smooth but tense. The stars outside the window seemed brighter than ever. Zara thought about the long journey ahead, leaving her home, facing unknown worlds, and trusting a human to protect her child and herself. Days passed on the ship. David and Zara worked together, preparing for the challenges of life on Earth. They shared stories, laughter, and moments of quiet peace. Zara began to see David not just as a protector, but as a true friend, maybe even more. She felt a warmth inside that she hadn't known since before the wars on Veralia. One evening, under the soft glow of the ship's lights, David took Zara's hand. "Zara," he said softly, "you have shown me courage and love. I want to be with you, not because I bought you, but because I care." Tears filled Zara's eyes. "I never thought I would find love like this," she whispered. Their hands tightened together, a promise of hope and a future. When the ship finally landed on Earth, they were greeted by fresh air, green trees, and the sound of birds, a world alive and full of possibility. David helped Zara and the tiny container to a hospital where special doctors awaited them. The scientists worked carefully, monitoring Lian's health. Days passed slowly. Then, the miracle came. The container opened and Zara held her child in her arms, warm, strong, and alive. Tears of joy streamed down her face. David smiled beside her. "He is perfect." Zara looked at her son, then at David. "Thank you for everything." "For saving us," David shook his head. "No, you saved us both. You taught me what true strength and love mean." Together, they stepped into a new life. The past was behind them. The future was bright. Zara knew there would still be challenges. But she also knew one thing for sure. She was not alone. She was loved. And love, she realized, was the greatest power of all.